everybody, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I thought what I would do on camera is we are going to alter a composition book, and in my previous video I talked about this visitor's guide that I received from West Virginia, and I loved the image, so I ordered this, and it's really got some great fonts inside that I'm going to start cutting out. But the first thing I want to do is tackle this composition book and turn it into a travel journal for the summer. So we're going to get started today, and this, I've not done one quite like this in the past, so you know, we'll probably find some things that work and some things that don't. And in the center of it, what I'm thinking is I'm going to replace these pages with some paper that I have in my stash. I've got some coffee dyed paper, I've got a book page here, and then most of it are papers that I have printed out to use within journals, and I have not backed these papers, but for the purposes of this journal I'm not bothered about it, because this is a journal that I'm actually going to collage in this summer, and you know, just memory keeping, so I'm not that bothered about it. You decide what style or what your purpose is for your journal. But these are just a nice mix. I might not be able to get all of these in here. We won't know until we get to that point, but that's probably going to be, I would imagine that's going to come in part 2. And you can see this is a standard US sheet. When I fold this in half, this is not going to fill this journal. So this is another thing I've got to think about, and that's where I might actually add some of these papers back in. I thought this was a lined composition book, but it's not. It's a graph. I picked this up at a thrift store for 25 cents, and it was full of paper. I've torn some out. But this is another thing I'm going to need to think about. I can either have the pages mixed in at different sizes, which I personally like. I think it looks really nice that way. Or I could cut these down and stitch them so that I could have a full-size page. I think I'm inclined to just mix it up because I don't want this to be too labor intensive, and I really, within my journals, like a mix of papers so you can have some small things, because some days you don't want to work on a whole sheet like this. It's too intimidating. So that's why I like to mix it up with small bits of flips, and then this will be a nice size for doing some collaging as well. Alright, so let's just get started. Let's set this to the side. So what I'm actually going to do is this particular notebook, which is nice, is sewn in, and I'm going to just start by deconstructing this because I want to add some fabric to the spine on this, and we'll see how easy it's going to be to do this. Sorry, that's Daisy. She's dreaming. She's still hanging in there, guys. I know a lot of you are curious about her. She's struggling, and you know, we're just taking it a day at a time, really. Oh, this came out really, really easy, so that's great. Yeah, I would say do look for these things. This looks like it may have been a Walmart. Yes, it is. This is a Walmart composition. And so that maybe, I don't know how old this is, but maybe they are sewn in. So I would keep that in mind if you're thinking about purchasing one. It's going to make it so much easier if it's stitched in. Alright, So, got that out, and I'm just going to sit these to the side. I probably could have glued the pages together first, but what I'll do is when I add them back in, I'm going to add 2 pages of this at a time. That way I can, excuse me, I'm going to glue the pages together just to make them a little bit sturdier, because I might want to do some, add some gesso, and maybe even play around with some watercolor. So this bit of paper, which I'd torn, I'm just going to add this for my stash to use later. I think I'm going to end up with quite a bit of graph paper left over because I want to use as much of the printed digitals as I can. I hate to see any of them go to waste. Let's get the rest of these off. So yeah, this is going to be kind of fun because I've never done one this way, and I think this is going to make a nice travel journal. It's quite large. I suppose if you were on a plane or something, you probably wouldn't want to carry one this size, but if you're in an RV or you like to go camping, you've got the room, I think this is nice, a nice size to have. Okay, so unfortunately I don't have a lot of large pieces of fabric, so I think what I'm going to have to do, the front is going to be completely covered with the image from the visitor's guide, so that part I'm not worried about, but I do want to get this covered with fabric first because I don't want the fabric on the spine to overhang on this image because it's going to be tight. I'm going to have to trim some of this image off as it is, and I don't want to lose any more than I have to. So I think what I am inclined to do just to reinforce it, I'm just going to cover the whole page, the whole cover with muslin, and probably just glue it down, let that dry, and then come back and do some stitching, because I think the inside I would like to cover with some of my paper pads. I've got quite a lot of scrapbooking paper that I need to use, and I think that would be nice in here, but that may change as we go. So what I'm going to do is there's going to be a lot of breaks while I'm gathering supplies, guys, so bear with me on that. I will be back. Okay, guys, already I've changed my mind. Excuse me. So I had an old pair of blue jeans, and they had finally worn out to where I couldn't repair them because they were my favorite jeans. We've all got a favorite pair of blue jeans that we just hate to part with. But these were beyond repair, and I have been hanging on to them thinking, I'm going to see if I can do something. Well, my thought was some slow stitching on the pockets. Let me just grab it real quick. So this is the top of the jeans, so I thought, well, I want to save the pockets and then possibly do something here, but now I have decided, wouldn't this be perfect if I can make this seam? Well, this is the front cover, and that's going to be covered anyways. So what I'm inclined to do is try to line this up where I can have the seam going right down the spine, and then if I can stretch this, I believe I can do it. I might have to play around and tweak this slightly because it's a little bit off, but I'm going to make this work. So that's the change already, is if I can get this even. It's going to come up short on this side, but what I might do is just patch that with some of this excess, because that front cover is going to be covered with this image anyways, but what I don't want is there would be a gap, and that would make the image not stick the way I want. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just get some Fabri-Tac. You would need this or some sort of fabric glue. And I'm inclined to just let this get dried, and then I could go back and stitch it, because the problem you've got is the new denim. It's all got that spandex in it, and it's stretchy, and I'm not that good at sewing. I tend to find it really difficult. So I'd rather get this glued, and then I'll come back and just make any repairs I have to. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this, unfortunately. That's because that would have been probably enough to have covered that bit, but it's not gonna. So what I think I'll do is I'll just go ahead and with the machine, I'm just going to stitch another little piece to this, because it's not going to be shown. I'm only doing it for the depth. I want it to be level when I go to adhere that cover. I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry if it's sounding like I'm just rambling on. So if that's the center, it's going to be there. I'm going to just take a little bit of this right here and take it to the machine. You probably won't have this problem, but you might. And so let me just do that, and you can see I'm just going to stitch that to that, hopefully, and that will be enough to cover the front. Be right back. Okay guys, so just please ignore my stitching, because my machine is not good, and I'm not very good at sewing. I just wanted to stitch that extra piece in hopes that that now can be glued where that will be in the center of the spine, and then I can get this all adhered. Okay, let's just jump in. This is Fabri-Tac. I've just put it in one of those, it's a Sugar Bell bottle. I finally managed to pick up one of those, and it does help a lot. You don't have to squeeze so hard for that to come out. I'm just using a paper clip, but that's another thing that's on my wish list. I really, really want one of the little dangles for my glitter glue and this bottle, but I just haven't gotten around to it, and I've kind of put it off just because I don't enjoy working with the beads or jewelry. I don't know, it's just something I haven't taken to. Probably haven't spent enough time doing it. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead now and just get this all the way around here. And I will go back and sew as well. And I don't know. I'm already thinking ahead on using one of the pockets to maybe slow stitch on the back of the cover. I think that might be kind of fun. That should be enough glue, because this will be stitched as well. But I'm hoping that's going to make the sewing much easier. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, very happy with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, just going to rip this cover off. And I found, I should have marked it somewhere. I'll have to look back through, but I found something that I could cover the West Virginia, because that's got to come off. Alright, this is going to be for, I think this is going to be really nice. I might even trim that down even more so that a little bit of the denim shows on the front. Yeah, let's do that. Paper cutter here. I finally broke down and bought one. I had been using the utility knife and this little mat, but sometimes it's just quicker, I think, with this. What was I going to do? Measure this. Yeah, I think it might be kind of nice just to have a little bit of the denim showing on the front. And this is where, when you start a project, it just begins to evolve. So I'm actually thinking if I could get away with the 7 inches, that would really look nice. How much I don't want to lose any of that. I think I can do it, guys. I believe this can be done. And it's kind of a weighty let me take this side off first so we know that's going to be the total. So if I do that, it's 7. Yeah, I think that will work. This was the piece I cut off, and I was about to throw that in the trash, but I'm going to see if I could play around with that somehow and make something with it. I don't know if it's doable. Alright, so before I cut the height, because I'm inclined to just take that section off up there, I've got to get, I don't want to jump ahead too much because I've got all this that's going to have to get dealt with here. If this had been muslin, I would have just folded it over and then put our scrapbook on it, but this is quite bulky. So I'm thinking I might just have a raw edge on it. I just don't know how bad this might unravel. I don't want that either, so I'm going to have to think about this. It's pretty thin. I'm inclined to just go ahead and sew this so that it's a nice finish. The other thing we need to think about is how we're going to have a closure on this. Are we just going to have it no closure, or should I have something that ties that would hold this? Because I have a feeling this is going to be really bulky, so it might be nice to have a closure in here before I put the scrapbook paper. So, okay, what I'm going to do, guys, is now I feel like the glue is fine, so I'm going to take this to the machine now, and I'm just going to stitch this up. I'll take a little bit of the corners. Try to get rid of some of the bulk. And then we'll take it from there. I'll probably take a bit more down here as well. Okay, that's all I'm going to trim up because I don't want to end up with it too short. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stick with my white thread, and I'm going to try to do this a little bit neater because this is going to show, particularly on the back. Another thing, before I finish out the front, I think I want to cut out one of the pockets, which is then going to mean we're going to need to stop before we adhere the pocket to this and finish the inside. I'm going to need to decide if I'm going to do some slow stitching. Lots to think about. I'll be back. Alright guys, I have managed to get this sewn. Something that I would suggest, if you are going to do this the way I have, I would definitely take the time and glue this with some Fabri-Tac before you take it to the machine, because that's got some give to it, that denim. You really are fighting the machine to keep it in place. I managed to get it done. Is it perfect? No, but I'm not looking for perfection. I'm actually delighted with how this came out. I love how the seam of the blue jean landed on the spine. I think that's just fantastic. So I've got a couple of things I'm going to need to think about now before I go into part 2, because I feel like this is a good place probably to stop. But I'm still working out how I want this to come out. I want this pocket on the back, that's for sure. I can't seem to find a seam ripper, so I'm not going to do this on camera because this is going to take ages for me to salvage this pocket. So there's no point in doing that on camera, but I know I want that pocket on the back. Let me just, so you can kind of get an idea, I'm just going to cut this out real quick here. And this will give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about and why I feel like we're going to have to pause before I carry on. I mean, at this point, my mind is kind of going wild with ideas. And I won't lie, I'm considering just scrapping this altogether. Now that I can see how this has come out, I am thinking, how cool would this look? This is the waistband, and I mean, this is really getting out there. But I was thinking, how fun, and this just might have to be a completely different journal. Oh, that's the zipper. I mean, there's so many things you could do with it. How fun would it be to have the waistband on this, and then a pocket, and you could just slow stitch a design on here. But gosh, I might have to save that for another, because I do love this image, and I think this is going to be such a great, I can see I'm going to need to glue that down. I just think this is going to make a great little travel journal. I might even trim this off just a little bit more because I've got the room. I want to show more of the denim and the stitching. So that kind of shows you guys, and before I can put this pocket on here, because I want to do everything on the cover before I start covering the inside, this is all going to be slow stitch. So I think what I will do is do that in my own time, and in part 2 you will see this complete and then we'll take it from there. I'll probably, I don't know, I'm going to have to think through the design on that. Maybe put 2024 and some flowers, because I'm not that good with embroidery, but I do think it would be nice to have something on the back of this. Yeah, who knows? But that's the fun thing about it. We can just alter things as we go on. So what I will do is start prepping the papers. I will get this portion of it done because as I said, I have to study YouTube videos, and I've got an embroidery book, so I'm going to need to study all of that before I formulate a design on here. But that's where I think we'll go with this, is have that pocket in the back. I could keep a pen in there, maybe a tag, just all sorts. But I think this is going to be a really cute travel journal. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts? Where do you think I should go with this? Do you think I should just completely scrap this image and go with something completely different with the waistband? I'm not sure if I've got the sewing skills to even do that, but wow, I think it would be a phenomenal journal when it was done. But I don't know, that might end up being in another project down the road. But let me know what your thoughts are so far. Anything that you would have done different? Are you going to make one of these? What are your plans for the summer? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys soon for part 2. Take care. Bye-bye.